The core operating system is what allows us to do amazing things. And Windows 10 does absolutely none of this. Microsoft, what are you doing? I was really hoping I wouldn't have to make this video, but Microsoft just keeps unintentionally asking me to. So after Microsoft decided to take a big dump with Windows 10, the OS that made me leave Windows altogether, could they have possibly fixed their fundamentally broken operating system and prove to now a Mac user that they can still make something decent? Now that I have my XPS running Windows 11, I'm going to dive deep into this OS and see if Microsoft can make me hate them less. Oh, who am I kidding? I'm not gonna be like one of those boring journalists that goes ooh and ah over new tech and basically writes off all of their problems as minor little quirks. After being heavily mistreated by their last OS, I think there's enough room for me to slip my bias in. If you need to know my bias, it's not I love Apple, anything Apple makes is amazing. It's I can't trust Microsoft to make a good operating system after the disaster that was Windows 10. After their disasters with Vista, 8, and 10, this is mostly what I can expect from them. Another disaster. So, with these expectations in mind, can Microsoft actually surpass them? They probably won't. Let's begin. Alright, so unlike the Windows 10 video that I made where I basically was relaying you issues I had with basically every single computer I have ever used that ran that operating system, it actually didn't matter what computer I used. Anything that ran Windows 10, it was crap. I had a crap-tastic experience. Unlike that video where I was using multiple computers, to my surprise, I've never actually ran into someone else who used Windows 11. While I was visiting family members during Thanksgiving, one of them actually upgraded their computer to Windows 11, but they hadn't gotten their experience in that much and I hadn't touched their computer at that point. But basically, all this experience is coming from one computer, and it's this one here. Now, if you watch my XPS review, you might actually realize, hey, I didn't actually have that many problems to gripe on about the laptop. And if there were any issues, it was all Windows related. The hardware genuinely is great. I love it. However, there's just one thing on it that prevents me from absolutely wanting to use this thing. And due to the specs and the way this thing's built, in theory, I really should be enjoying my experience with this, except no, I'm still not. Anywho, so once I actually got the laptop, I had to set up Windows 11, of course, and let's just say that was not the smoothest experience I have ever gone through. Setting up my MacBook Pro was way easier, less frustrating. In fact, the difference between setting up macOS and Windows 11, it's like night and day difference. It's that big of a difference in terms of experience. So, of course, we had some issues during the setup because it's Windows. Of course, we have to have issues during setup. First problem was it refused to connect to the Wi-Fi. I have no clue what the issue was, but for whatever reason, it decided it did not want to connect to the internet no matter how many times I tried. And no, I did put in the correct password. I even used that little tool to help me see what I input for the password. It's just this thing refused to connect to it, and I don't understand why. I don't think it's a hardware issue. I do think it's a software issue because communication stuff, that's not what the hardware is supposed to be for. That's what software is for. Software is what allows hardware to communicate with each other. And clearly, they didn't want to communicate with each other, meaning something was wrong with the software. Next up, and this really annoys me, especially compared to macOS. Now, you might think, you want to use Apple stuff? Well, you gotta use an Apple ID with all of your devices, like your watch, your phone, your laptop, your desktop. You gotta use your Apple ID with everything. The honest truth is, no, you don't. You actually don't need an Apple ID to use all of these products. Now, to get full functionality out of them, it's recommended you get one, but to actually just use them as, okay, maybe I'll type up a document every now and then, and you don't mind the devices not communicating with each other as well to give you that full Apple ecosystem experience, you don't need to log in with your Apple ID ID even during setup. There is a bypass to do that. How about Windows 11? Nope, you are required to have a Microsoft account. No excuses, you have to have a Microsoft account. And let's say, oh, yeah, the reason why I mentioned Wi-Fi first is because in order to set it up, you have to log into your Wi-Fi in order to set this thing up. Why? Because in order to get past, well, the second step, which is log in with your Microsoft account, well, you obviously need an internet connection, but yet they force you to log in with your Microsoft account. Not only is not logging in with your Apple ID a benefit on the Mac because, well, okay, you don't necessarily need it in order to use the product, though you won't get full functionality out of it. But say, what happens if your wireless isn't that great in the first place? Which, oh yeah, last I checked, our internet here sucks. So you think setting this thing up was easy? No. And it wasn't hardware I was trying to set up, it was software. I was trying to set Windows 11 up so I could use the platform. And it wants me to log in with a Microsoft account, which requires an internet connection. Why? Okay, once we got through the account setup, everything was basically, okay, create your local account, such and such like that. Oh, but yeah, during the setup in terms of security, like, okay, what do you want to do for your PIN, or how do you want to set up Windows Hello, or features like that? Oh, why did they do this? They basically gave me an I hate you situation where I tried to set these things up. I went into settings, I went to Windows Hello, except it basically gave me a message and to sum up what that message was, oh, I hate you. So because of that, I'm not going to let you secure your laptop. I don't recall what the solution to this problem was, but they basically wanted me to go to their website and, oh no, actually, no, now I remember what the solution to the issue was. It turns out Microsoft literally just hates my account. That's literally it. Why? Because I basically had to log into my Microsoft account on Microsoft.com and then basically uncheck this I hate you box, and then, oh yeah, then it allowed me to actually use Windows Hello. It didn't let me secure my laptop because it hated my account. Are you serious? Speaking of security, it's kind of obvious that Windows is very, very against it. Despite that, oh, you have to enable the secure trust platform module or whatever in order to use Windows 11. No, Microsoft doesn't give a crap about your security. They force you to have an account in order to use the thing. And unlike macOS, most of their privacy toggles, there's a few that are not switched on but not switched off. They basically, when it comes to, okay, are we going to share analytics or are we going to respect your privacy pop-ups, they basically give you a pop-up to choose right there and then. Not Windows 11. Nope, you basically have to go in the settings and, oh, look what's turned on in the privacy settings. Oh yeah, basically every tracking switch you can think of. You know, something that I don't understand with privacy and tracking is supposedly if you allow, I don't know, say budget phones to track you so they can put ads in it, then they'll offer you cheaper phones and such. macOS is free and they respect your privacy, and yet you're paying how much money for this operating system and they still don't respect it? What? How backwards is that? Next up, and this is a big complaint I have with Windows in general. It's always been this way, but it's still a complaint I have to this day. It's basically useless out of the box. You can't do anything with it. You can open your file system. Oh, but okay, what are you going to do with it? You have no files other than, okay, what if you're importing your stuff from a drive, okay? You can't open those files. You can't even open a document until you install Microsoft Word or Microsoft PowerPoint. You have to download all of this third-party software, which, yeah, you guessed it, costs more money on top of this operating system you already paid for. And yet macOS, they have all the tools that you need to actually do something with the machine. The iWork suite, Pages, Numbers, Keynote, it's already pre-installed. There's even some professional grade software like iMovie, GarageBand, and yet does Windows have anything like these? Nope, it's basically empty out of the box. You're basically opening up an empty box. You gotta download all the software and pay for it, while all the macOS things that I just mentioned, all of those are free and pre-installed. And something I discovered as I was trying to download new applications to use with this thing, I don't understand what's going on, but it seems like Windows 11 hates .zip files all of a sudden, which is kind of a problem because that's how you install a lot of apps nowadays. So if the operating system doesn't like .zip files anymore, I already had a problem with Windows 10 absolutely despising PDFs. Considering Windows 10 already hated PDFs before and now it's not liking .zip files, yeah, I'm speechless. I don't know what to say about this. The fact that it's getting worse and worse over time is just mind-boggling. There is one thing, however, that I want to mention real quick. There is one positive that I've actually had with Windows 11, and it's actually setting up a printer. I'm mentioning this right now because this review is about to get a lot less friendly. Setting up printers with this thing was actually a breeze. All I had to do was do a search on the network. It found the printer, and it actually downloaded the correct drivers and installed it. Basically the same thing that macOS does. Okay, they finally improved their ability to connect to printers, but the fact that that is literally the only compliment I gave them out of everything else so far, yeah, and the fact that I'm not done yet, that's a bit of a problem. So that was basically setting this thing up. Let's move on to general use now. I don't know what Windows' problem is, but for some reason the Wi-Fi decides to bug out on boot. It will connect to the Wi-Fi network, but it basically won't pull any internet from it. So every time I come home from work in this thing and decide to update some stuff here at home, I open it up and, oh, hey, we're connected to the Wi-Fi, but we're not pulling internet because, well, we're not smart enough to request internet, evidently. Yeah, that is really annoying. I don't understand why it does that. Microsoft, please fix that. It's still broken. Oh, then again, they haven't fixed Windows 10, essentially, so I guess it's still going to be broken. It's going to be broken forever. This is how it's going to be, because Microsoft doesn't improve. I also have issues with the notification panel. Oftentimes, it just doesn't want to close. No matter how many times I tap on that thing, it does not want to close. Oftentimes, I'll just be using the laptop with the control panel open, and, well, I basically have stuff blocked off because the control panel's in the way. Thank you, Microsoft. It's not like I need to use this for work or get paid or anything. Also, while we're in that area, this is just weird. Why are the mini icons not where they should be? Okay, my problem is I like to keep them in that little menu where they basically pop up with the mini icons, status thing, whatever those stupid things are. I don't know what they're called anymore. I haven't used Windows in forever. But the point is, I like to keep them in that menu to keep the whole system minimal. Except they keep popping up in plain sight, and it's things like Microsoft Teams. Hey, have you tried Microsoft Teams yet? Oh, you try Microsoft Teams, please? No! I have no use for that application! Stop shoving it in my face! Other issues I have, I am searching so much into these settings. macOS has the option to do this, and I'm surprised that this doesn't. Yeah, Windows supposedly, they say you can customize it to do whatever you want. Oh, why have I not found an option to customize which direction the scroll wheel is supposed to scroll? Okay, I can change that on my trackpad. I can scroll in the correct direction on the trackpad. The problem is my mouse, because I use a mouse a lot, because I hate trackpads in general. And for some reason, I can't find a single setting. I've dug into a control panel, the old-fashioned Windows way. I've dug into the new settings menu. I've dug into basically every menu I've basically been able to find, and yet there is zero option to control which way the scroll wheel scrolls. Why? Oh, speaking of control panel, it's basically useless at this point. So if you're very familiar with the control panel, don't bother using it to change any settings. It's basically useless at this point. They now want you to do everything through the settings app, where sometimes you can find what you're looking for, quite often you can't. It's stupid. Back to security, however, Windows Hello isn't actually very accurate. It has trouble picking up my fingerprint a lot, though that actually could just be a hardware issue. But in terms of facial recognition, it's actually worse than I thought. It's way worse than my iPhone's Face ID. That, and whenever it fails an attempt, it's not very good at, okay, oh, how do you want me to get in then? If you, for some odd reason, refuse to scan my face and say, oh yeah, it's his face, let's let him in. It makes me have to select another button that says, okay, enter the PIN, or try the face scanner again, or the fingerprint scanner again. It's clunky, and it's time consuming. It's not convenient. Oh, another thing that drives me absolutely mad, and I don't know if it's Dell's bloatware that's causing this, because I know Dell has a lot of bloatware that can cause systems to slow down like this, but I'm not too sure. But the problem is, File Explorer literally takes a full minute to open, which is kind of concerning because this is a Core i7 laptop with an NVIDIA RTX 3050. This is a high-end laptop. It should not take a full minute to open Windows Explorer. I also discovered something weird in the power settings within the settings app, and let's just say I guess Windows 11 is trying to be more environmentally friendly, but let me tell you this, Microsoft, you've been failing for such a long time at that, and you want to know why? Because due to the way that I have to fix so many problems that shouldn't exist, and I'm wasting so much time doing that, that time I'm wasting is wasting more energy, therefore that's not environmentally friendly. So you want to actually compare who's more environmentally friendly between you and Apple, I guarantee you this. Due to Apple's simplicity and the fact that it just works, you guys got a long way to go. And the last general use thing that I just really need to rant on, updates. Not only is the fact that, okay, this thing gets so many updates, and yet basically all of my problems that are kind of a big deal, if I'm being honest. Despite that, Microsoft issues so many updates to this thing. Do any of them fix them? Nope, absolutely none of them. It is still broken update after update. I have no idea why Microsoft keeps sending these things, because literally they do absolutely nothing. The system is still broken every single time after every update. It's kind of like they don't care or something. But that's not the biggest rant I want to mention about updates. It's actually the way that you're supposed to update the system. So some updates are done via the settings app, but that doesn't actually account for everything. There are some updates where I actually have to go to Dell's website and download from there for some odd reason. And then I need to get GPU drivers as well because I have a dedicated graphics. And so if you need to download drivers for your dedicated graphics, do you get them through a system update? No, you have to use GeForce Experience evidently if your laptop uses an NVIDIA GPU, which, well, mine does, and get driver updates that way, which, you have to create a separate account for. To my surprise, though, I didn't expect NVIDIA to actually offer a sign-in with Apple option, considering that NVIDIA and Apple have not been on the best of terms for a while. But yeah, the way you update this thing, it's all out of the box. Some you have to do via the system settings, some you have to do from Dell's website, though that part is just a Dell thing. And then if you happen to have a dedicated graphics card, which a lot of systems have, by the way, it's not good. And now I gotta get into things that are actually actively slowing me down. Now, I can't get too specific into exactly what it is I'm doing because, well, I'm supposed to keep these things private, but I'll explain enough details so that way you get the idea of, things are definitely going wrong. First of all, no default PDF reader. Again, why does Windows hate PDFs? I use PDFs all the time, even in my YouTube work, and yet Windows 11 still doesn't have a PDF reader. macOS has one built in, just like they have Pages, Numbers, Keynote, iMovie, GarageBand, you name it. They have basically everything built in, including a PDF reader. You can't include something as simple as that, Microsoft. I also had an issue where, now, something I do in my job is a lot of programming. I'm programming machines a lot, and I actually had some weird bug. I don't know what the issue was, but for whatever reason, this thing refused to open those programs. And yet, I've watched my boss open these programs all the time on his computer. I've seen them open on basically every other computer in the office, but not on Windows 11 for some odd reason. I even pulled out my MacBook and using that third-party app, because this file is so obscure, you actually need a third-party app to view it anyways. Even that third-party app I have downloaded on my MacBook, it still opened those up. And yet for some odd reason, it didn't want to open on Windows 11. I had no idea why. I had to restart the machine for it to actually open it. And then I had the issue where a lot of what I do involves a lot of flash drives as well. I had the issue where for whatever reason, I don't know why, but it did not want to eject the drive. I basically had to shut down the computer so that way I could safely pull out the drive. I checked Task Manager. Oh yeah, they stupidly relocated Task Manager to the point where even tech-savvy people are having a hard time finding it. By the way, if you're still looking for a Task Manager, by the way, you now have to right-click the Windows icon, and there it appears in a menu there. That's where the new access to Task Manager is. But I searched everything that could possibly be still using the drive, because it kept telling me, drive still in use, cannot eject. Nothing was using it. I even closed every single application on this thing, and yet it still refused to let it go. I had to shut down the system and waste more time yet again just to safely eject a drive so I didn't corrupt anything on it. Thank you, Microsoft. Oh yeah, and then one time there was one time I was working on something and it decided to restart due to an update. Thanks again for wasting my time, Microsoft. Like, that's so helpful. You claim you're so environmentally friendly, right? Yeah, you're so environmentally friendly in the ways that I'm wasting time doing my job. So what does this mean? I basically listed off pretty much every issue where, there's room for things to go wrong. Out of every opportunity where something could go wrong, Microsoft has managed to hit literally every single one they could possibly think of. The platform doesn't work. Okay, I'm still technically using it to get paid and such, but it has been a pain to use. It has literally slowed me down. I switched to Mac because it's not slowing me down. It is like actively helping me in doing everything possible to get my stuff done. And yet Windows 11 it seems like it's the polar opposite. It is working everything in its power to work against me to make sure I can get absolutely nothing done and constantly have to tinker with the system. So am I gonna... Alright, I did it in the last video. You know, Microsoft, we're gonna do this again. We're going into overdrive. Microsoft, have you learned absolutely nothing? I am so tired of you just constantly screwing things up. People act like I don't even know how to use Windows. They don't even know that I used to use Windows. That was the computer platform I learned from the beginning, and it was awesome. XP, I loved it. 7, I loved it. What happened to those? All of a sudden you just tanked. You tanked from Windows 8. Windows 8.1 may have fixed the layout, but it still wasn't that great. You already ticked off most of your audience in the first place. Windows 10, I don't understand what was wrong with it. It should have been the same cycle as before. XP was great, Vista was terrible, 7 was great, 8 was terrible. How come 10 wasn't that great? Why did Windows 10 suck so much? And I thought, okay, if Windows 10 sucks so much, maybe there's a chance. Maybe Microsoft would learn in the next version of Windows they could possibly fix it. But no, they did literally nothing other than reskin the whole thing. It is literally the exact same code as Windows 10. There is nothing different about it. And at this point, it just shows how lazy Microsoft is. Lazy, 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 lazy. You've done nothing different. I do not understand how people say this is the best platform ever, or wow, Mac sucks because, well, Mac can't game, or Mac can't support as many apps as Windows. Yeah, so you really enjoy using a crappy platform to do all of your stuff on, where everything crashes, nothing works, and it doesn't even do default applications for the most basic files. PDF? No, we still have to go to the web for that. And now .zip files all of a sudden are compact, compressed folder format that a lot of applications like to use when set up. And the biggest thing that baffles me altogether, I don't understand this. This is the biggest thing that confuses the living out of me. How is it that macOS is free, Linux is free, in fact, more specifically, macOS is free, and it is a much, much better platform than Windows? How is it more stable, more easier to use, and less time consuming than Windows? And Windows costs money. Yes, the biggest platform that basically doesn't run costs money, and it baffles me that so many people actually buy it. You might think, well, it comes on the computer, so I'm not technically paying for it. Oh yes, you're paying for it. Guess what's included in the price of that laptop or desktop you just bought? A Windows license key. You're paying for the software, and this software that you're paying, how much does a key cost? I gotta check. How much does a Windows license cost? You're kidding. $94? $94 for a broken operating system? This is absolutely ridiculous. How is Microsoft getting away with this? And this time, Microsoft doesn't even have the excuse of, oh, everyone's familiar with Windows and stuff. They know where everything is. They know how it functions. No, they don't. They changed all that stuff. Task Manager is now hidden on those users. My tech-savvy grandpa doesn't even know where the heck Task Manager is. Supposedly, Windows 12 is coming out. I have no idea when, even though to me it's kind of too soon because, well, if I recall, I made that video about Windows 11 last year when that was when it just came out. And I don't know, Microsoft can't make up their minds, and when they do make up their minds, they make up their minds to do things in the worst way possible. I can't understand why this platform is successful anymore. It used to be good. If the operating system was stable, okay, maybe I would have a different tone about this. But the operating system is a pile of shit. It's $94. You have to use an account in order to use it, apparently. And it's useless out of the box. There's nothing installed on it, basically, other than a web browser. What are you going to do? Use Google Docs? Well, you might want to anyway, because, yeah, Microsoft Office? How much does that cost again? Oh, right, that's even... Microsoft Office is a subscription! The point I'm trying to get at is, you're paying money for this... whatever the heck this is. I can't even call it an operating system at this point. It's a money vacuum. It's literally sucking all of your money away because it's getting nothing done. It's slowing you down. I am so grateful I have that MacBook down at my desk right now. Because man, oh man, if this was my only laptop, and keep in mind the hardware of this thing, it's great. I love the hardware of this laptop, but the software, on the other hand, why is it so terrible? And I can't believe I have to pay for that. Okay, I didn't pay for it. My grandparents technically paid for it, but still, I can't believe they even had to pay for that. It's a total ripoff. At this point, I think I've given up all hope. I have no hopes anymore. Microsoft can make a good operating system. Zero. Zilch. They have done nothing but taking steps backwards. And that's sad. It really is. You know why? Because right now, okay, Linux, not many people know how to use Linux. It's different and it's a bit more involved. It's not necessarily average consumer friendly. Now, there are some versions that are average consumer friendly, like Chrome OS, except, oh right, what happens if you take the internet away from Chrome OS? Oh yeah, it's a paperweight. So this is why I'm still sticking with Mac. Yes, I hate their prices. Yes, I hate how they do some things. And yes, I hate how the company views a few worldly things. However, I would much rather deal with that and be able to get my stuff done versus waste money in subscriptions and pay for something that is so broken. And this is coming from someone who used to use Windows. I've used Windows for many more years than I've used macOS. I'm on year number 3 for using macOS at this point, and honestly, I haven't looked back. But one misconception is I really want Windows to be great. I really do. Why? Because right now, macOS basically has no competition. Linux is too complicated for average computers, and so that basically leaves you with an operating system that's so broken. You know, maybe that's just it. Maybe Windows doesn't have competition. Maybe Windows doesn't have enough competition. They don't see the problem. Why? Because, oh, we're so successful, we've got basically the majority of the market share, and everyone's going to keep buying our stuff anyways because, oh, system integrators, they're just going to keep slapping Windows on this thing. Yep, they're going to keep doing it. Everyone's going to keep using Windows because they don't want to learn a new operating system. So I guess it doesn't matter if we make a good one or not. Why? Why do you do this to me, Microsoft? You think I enjoy this? You really do? I don't think I started doing this. They started it first when I nearly missed an entire class trying to print a single essay. And that was with Windows 10. And they've still gotten basically nowhere at this point. I was open to it. I wanted to give Windows 11 a big chance. I really did. And I gave it the best shot I possibly could. And nope, we belly flopped straight on the floor. And there's many people out there who think maybe if you just try higher-end hardware or something, like you gotta use the high-end hardware. High-end hardware in order to use this stuff. I get this all the time, even after the last video. You gotta use high-end hardware. I use high-end hardware. It doesn't make a difference. This XPS here, this is an expensive laptop. It has a Core i7, 16 gigs of RAM, not to mention 16 gigs of DDR5 RAM, the latest memory out there, the fastest. What generation Intel's in? Oh yeah, like 12th gen Intel Core i7, a high-end version of that for laptops as well. I also have a high-end NVIDIA GPU in this thing, RTX 3050. Is that not a high-end GPU nowadays? And it still doesn't work. I've tried high-end hardware over and over and over again. I get literally the same results. I've actually had one person suggest, well, maybe you should try a Microsoft Surface, because if Apple can get things right by making both the hardware and the software, then Microsoft should be able to do the same. But no, their hardware even sucks. Price to performance, the MacBook's seriously blown it out of the water. The connectivity options on the Surface suck, and I will continue to drive that home until they actually do something about it, until they actually focus based on good connectivity. But no, they're still using, okay, it's Thunderbolt now, but they're still using a Type A, and oh yeah, you only got those 2 ports. Good luck. I give up, Microsoft. I give up. As soon as I don't need to use Windows anymore, be it they put SolidWorks on macOS or whatever happens, as soon as I get the opportunity to no longer need to use Windows anymore, I'm done. I don't understand why you can't make an operating system. You used to be able to do it, and you've made great ones. XP, I heap lots of praise for it. 7, same deal. In fact, 7 is my favorite operating system ever. And yet, why? Why did you screw it up so much? So, that's it. I'm done. I'm done with your stupid bullshit. I'm done trying to hope that you'll come to your senses and actually decide, oh, we'll make something decent for once. We'll stop torturing our users and stop slowing them down. I was really hoping you'd do that, but it turns out no. You don't care. You don't fucking care. So if you're not gonna care, then I'm going to stop caring as well. At this point, I don't think this company makes anything good anymore. Even Office, even Microsoft Office, you don't need that. The Google Suite, yeah, it's online exclusive, so if you lose your internet connection, then yeah, you might be screwed. But you know what? Use the G Suite Office. It's good enough. It's got most of the features. And if you're using macOS, you know what? Use Pages, Numbers, and Keynote. Not to mention, those applications can even open Microsoft Office documents. Yeah, you heard me right. Pages can open Microsoft Word documents. Keynote can open Microsoft PowerPoint documents. And Numbers can open Excel documents. I've done it all the time, and it works flawlessly. I can even save to those formats on these free applications. At this point, I'm done. I am done with Microsoft. I have had it. I'm fed up. I now hate them as a company. Nope, you can't hate the company. Can't hate the company. Gotta hate the product. Well, except the problem is when they basically don't make anything good. Don't even try to say they make a great Surface device or whatever. No, I'm sorry. Their Surface hardware, it's not good. Their concepts are flawed. The executions are also flawed. And the connectivity, why do they still brag about it when it sucks? Their hardware's flawed. Their software's flawed. I've used them both. So don't think I'm being unfair. I'm being totally fair right now. At this point, Microsoft, you're a trash company. You're selling consumers literal garbage. I'm not going to recommend them anymore. I can't even recommend PC laptops anymore at this point because they're all going to run Windows. The only way I'll recommend a PC laptop anymore, that even includes this thing right here, is if you install Linux or find a way to make a Hackintosh out of it. I'm done, Microsoft. I'm done. You suck. Thank you for watching. Do me a favor and check the stuff below. My name is DeWolf. Random Alpha, signing out. Finally. Why you do this, Microsoft? You asked for it.